Good morning, everybody. I'm Weather and Radar Meteorologist Becca Parker. Happy holidays. We're in the peak time of the travel these next couple of days. I'm going to double check to make sure everything looks good on my end, just to make sure we're live. We are going over the travel forecast right now for the next couple of days in through Christmas, because we can see that now on the weather radar, which is awesome. But today and tomorrow are the peak travel days that we're taking a look at for the Christmas holiday this weekend. And then if you're staying with family throughout the rest of next week and the New Year's as well and other holidays, that's great, so that you'll be able to be prepared when you hit the road or the sky today or tomorrow, and get to know the weather better. Leave the weather to us, right? You don't have one more thing to worry about if that's the case. So leave the expert forecast to us. We've got you. I'm going to go ahead and drop the download link for the app into the chat so that you all can have that information right at your fingertips. If you don't already have the app, it's free to download. I'm just dropping the link so it's easier for you to get to. The links are also in the description below. And I'm just going to give it a minute here for more people to join us. We are seeing the peak travel day today and tomorrow, so I know a lot of you are going to have questions. Alrighty. We will get started here. If you don't have the Weather and Radar app already downloaded, this is a great opportunity to learn the products that I'm going to be going over with. They're completely for free and right at your fingertips, so it's really easy to follow along. And I'll be showing those tools that you can use throughout your travels, throughout your holiday season, and beyond as we go into the rest of the year and the brand new year. So you'll be able to see all of that information there. So please, if you are joining us, let me know where you're at and where you're headed to. Say hi. We'd love to know where everybody is tuning in from, especially during the holiday season. So happy holidays, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and get into the forecast here. Let's get into it now. We are looking at the entirety of the U.S. On the map behind me. And if you can't see me very well, if it is a little dark on the screen, that is totally fine. All you need to see is what's behind me. And that should be nice and clear. So you'll be able to see the entire U.S. right behind me on the weather radar here. You can see my cursor as well. We're going to be going over west to east, and we'll touch on the areas that are going to be seeing a lot of heavy rainfall, maybe even heavy snowfall over the next couple of days too. That could really disrupt some travel. So that you can have the best information in mind as you're going about your holidays, because it's already, there are already some stressors enough with the holidays. I know you want to get to your destination and be cozy and safe, so this is the best way to just have that in mind. Alrighty, we are going to start where the busy weather is and has been for the last couple of days. If you've tuned in the last couple of days, you've seen me talk about Southern California and the Southwest. They've been dealing with this is now day 3 of heavy rainfall in this area, heavy flooding rains in this area. And what that means is they've been seeing a lot of flash flooding, seeing a lot of rain, even more than what you typically get for a whole month of December in this area. So that's really interesting as well, that this system has really caused a lot of issues for the area. I want to double check something here and make sure that things are showing up okay on the stream. I'm not seeing it too well here. Just let me double check. Okay, perfect. We are still going. Okay, so yes, we are going to be going over this right now. So the heavy rainfall does continue, but it is shifting more to the southwest today. So right into Arizona, New Mexico area, where we do have a risk for excessive rainfall across this area. Up to 2 inches of rain, and for many that may not sound like a whole lot. This is the desert, and it's also an area that hasn't seen a whole lot of weather recently. So when you're getting that heavy rainfall in a short amount of time in a desert region, we have flash flooding issues that can erupt quickly. So up to 2 inches of rainfall is a really big deal for this area. So you really want to pay attention to any flash flooding issues in your area. If you're going to have, if you're going to be traveling on the road, be sure if you come to a water-covered roadway, turn around, don't drown. It's likely that the water is covering that roadway and may have even taken out the road underneath it. And you can't see it until you drive over it, and you don't want to get stuck in that. A lot of water rescues have happened over the last couple of days in Southern California due to this. Due to people driving into the floodwaters and their car stalling out and it gets swept away. It only takes a foot of water for a car to be swept away. So it doesn't take much, especially if rivers and creeks and streams are swelling. It doesn't take much. So just be mindful of that if you are traveling around that area today. So let's take a look at the more nitty-gritty details. So I know you're just waking up or possibly just getting on the road here across the southwest U.S. It's pretty early over there right now, just after 6 a.m. But we do have rainfall still happening, and it is going to eventually move out. So those of you who have been getting this the last few days, don't worry, it is going to move out. But we do just have to deal with it for a little while longer. Okay. So this is going to be, the bulk of it is moving into the area of the southwest here. And let me pull up what the Weather Prediction Center is noting for this situation, just so we can get into more serious details of what this looks like. You'll be able to see it behind me. There we go. All right, there we are. So this is what it looks like. We do have a slight risk, which is a level 2 out of 4 for excessive rainfall for that flash flooding probability in far southern California, as well as into the southwest here, and just touching New Mexico. That marginal risk is a level 1 out of 5, so areas could see isolated flash flooding in that marginal risk, but the more isolated to scattered is really what we're expecting across the slight risk area. So something you really want to keep an eye out for if you are traveling across here today. Up to 2 inches of rainfall, and that's in addition to anything that has already fallen in Southern California as well. Plus it's a desert. So yes, you get rain in the desert, and you can see flash flooding very quickly because it doesn't soak in very easily, it just kind of runs off. So that's going to be an issue that you're going to be seeing today. So, and we also want to note, too, the probability for some isolated severe weather across that area. Let me pull that up, too, from the Storm Prediction Center. Here we are. So we do have a marginal risk. That calls for isolated severe activity in that area. And you see it's where the bulk of that slight risk really was. So we are going to be seeing some chances for isolated severe weather. Now, the cool thing about using the weather radar tool when it comes to tracking severe weather is not only do you get alerts right to your app if you just turn them on right on your app that there is possibly severe weather in your area, or you could see severe weather within the next 36 hours. You can see the lightning. So you see these yellow dots here within the rainfall. That's the lightning, and you'll be able to see that live on your weather radar. And when we pull up the lightning radar as well, you can see just the lightning. So you'll be able to know that, if you're outdoors, if you're maybe you're outdoors for Christmas this weekend, maybe you're outdoors for the rest of the holidays. You want to be sure that you're staying away from any lightning. And you can see this on our live lightning radar. You can see it in real time when the lightning strikes, and it'll be there for a little bit so you know when the most recent strike was. And you see that here right across the border here into Mexico and the Baja. So there is a lot of lightning activity going on from this weather that is moving across Southern California and into the southwest as well. So let's take a look at other spots that are going to be seeing some heavy precipitation or maybe some issues. And I do want to double check. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. And I do see, Carolyn, you did mention Orange County. Could you be more specific? Which orange? There's a lot of orange counties for your forecast that you're requesting. If you could add that into the chat. Thank you so much. Alrighty, let's move on here to the Pacific Northwest. Now, anyone traveling on the Pacific Northwest is going to be obviously running into this frontal system that is bringing some rain and mountain snow. So anyone flying out of here could see some delays if you're driving, especially over those passes. Expect restrictions in the highest passes. A lot of trucks are probably going to be required to have chain restrictions in this area as you do go across the mountains here in the Northern Cascades. So keep watch of that, and you can see that snow, that rain turned to snow in the highest elevations here right on the weather radar. We have the blue is the rain, and then the darker the blue, the heavier the rain. And then we have the snow, the same thing. The lighter the pink, the lighter the snowfall, and the darker the pink, we got heavier snowfall. So whenever you see the heavier precipitation, that's something you want to really keep in mind for maybe taking a break off the road, pulling over and waiting for that to pass. That's also, you can take that opportunity when you see this. And if you have Android Auto, that's the perfect thing that you can have in the car to see the weather radar. We're on there. We're the weather app that is on Android Auto. And you'll be able to see the weather radar and what's up ahead on your route. You'll be able to see a dot that is you, and you'll be able to see what you're headed into or what's already happening in your area that you're driving through. So keep that in mind too if you're going to be on a road trip this weekend for the holidays. You've got that at your disposal to be able to get all the weather information right at your fingertips without having to pull up your phone, so that you can see it right on your screen. You glance over and you know what you're heading into. So that's awesome. Luckily, across the Rockies here, we've got a quiet day happening so far. I know it's early, but we've got a quiet skies happening right now. Some clouds are going to be building later today, maybe some snowfall getting into the northern Rockies. But we're going to be seeing that build over the next couple of days, and I'll get into that on after we go over the rest of today, what the weekend looks like. So right now, I also want to note the central U.S., all the way from the southern plains into the Midwest. We are seeing some heavy rainfall activity in some of these spots. You can see that darker blue color like I mentioned earlier. We do see some rain activity and some very heavy cloud cover just stretching from Texas all the way to the northern tier into the upper Great Lakes and as far as over as the mid-Atlantic. So we're seeing a vast cloud cover system here with the rainfall happening in between. So those of you that are traveling this morning, if you've got a commute this morning and if you've got your travel plans starting earlier this morning, you're going to be running into some rainfall across this area. Let's take a look at what it looks like later today too. As we move forward on the weather radar, we still really got, it's kind of just staying in the same spot, right? Just as it starts. This is 10 o'clock Central Time, and let's move forward in time as we get closer to lunch. So it does take its time. It really kind of sits across the Midwest down to the southern plains, but luckily behind this frontal system, we've got sunshine. So those of you that are heading out later this afternoon, that's your time. That's your time. If you want clear skies, that's your time to do it. So we're going to be seeing that move across the Midwest today. That's going to continue really throughout the evening tonight as well. Those of you flying out of Indianapolis, Chicago, Milwaukee area, you're going to maybe run into some delays in that area. Might not be that bad either. So, just keep that in mind when you're getting to the airport. Know that possible delays are there just because of this rainfall happening in the area. Eastern U.S., let's move on over. Let me double check for any questions before I move forward. Okay. Oh, yes. So the blue on the weather radar does stand for the rain. That is rainfall in that area. The darker the blue, the heavier the rainfall. That's what you're going to see. So today, what we're seeing across the eastern U.S. is quite quiet, as you can see. We've got some snow happening up here in the upper elevations of Pennsylvania later this morning and into southern New York here, and maybe a shower or two happening across North Carolina as well as Florida. But it's not that big of a deal today as far as weather. We've got some cloud cover, but it's going to be pretty good today across the area. We got some rain showers maybe moving in, but nothing to worry about as far as some heavy stuff moving in to block your way on the roads or even the skies. So it's going to be a very nice day to hit the roads if you're in the east. Before this evening, be a busier day right before the Christmas Eve time and then the Christmas holiday as well. I know a lot of you are traveling for tomorrow too. Cool. Okay, perfect. So, what this looks like, we've got that system that is still moving across the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes here, the heavier rain system. That's going to continue, and that's unfortunately going to run into some colder air too across the lower Great Lakes in this area, and that could mix into some frozen precipitation. So those of you that are going to be traveling across upstate New York, temperatures are going to be a little hit or miss as far as trying to see if it's going to be rain or snow or even something in between such as ice. So that's really what you want to pay attention to. Nothing that is that's going to be a super deluge or anything like that, but stuff that does pop up that you can see some very scattered to isolated showers that could be some icy, add some icy spots on the roads. You're going to want to pay attention to across this area. And those of you that are flying as well, same thing. And I'm going to pull up the wind radar as well to make sure that we're not running into any gusty winds, and if we are, we know where they're going to be. I mean, you can see them right on the weather radar once it loads. So the wind radar is going to be a very nice tool that you can use to make sure you're not running into any gusty winds. I know a lot of you that have high profile vehicles, you felt it before, right? When a wind gust does come across, you can feel that wind gust, and it's very dangerous to drive in a high profile vehicle like a semi truck, RV, big van, when we've got gusty winds. So luckily tomorrow, nothing really that we need to pay attention to as far as winds across the eastern third of the U.S. You know, gusts are only going to be as high as maybe 20 miles an hour in these areas, so not a huge deal to be on the lookout for, which is awesome. However, that's a different story as we move out west, right? We got some areas that we're going to be paying attention to. So let's take a look at what's going to be happening tomorrow for these areas and why we're going to be seeing some more gusty winds. So those of you that are taking the van, taking the RV for your holiday vacations or your holiday road trips, something to pay attention to is the wind radar. Alrighty. So you see it's a lot busier. We do have this whole system. So down here we've got the energy that was moving in across Southern California, the Southwest today. It's really going to combine with a trough system that's going to evolve over the next couple of days, an upper level trough that is going to bring down cold air from the north and meet up down here in the south and the central U.S. with warmer air. And when that clashes, we've got a whole system that we're going to be taking a look at. So that's why you see snow, that's why you see rain, that's why you see the possibility for thunderstorms. So something we want to pay attention to, right? Especially as we're getting into that peak holiday time this weekend. So you got heavy snow here going across basically all of the Appalachians, the northern Rockies down to the southern Rockies and into the Great Basin. We've got a mix of rain and snow. So really going to be a busy day tomorrow. And then as well as the southern plains and the central U.S. as well, we've got some possible thunderstorm activity, as well as showers and those thunderstorms. So this is going to be really evolving over the next couple of days, where we're going to see this low pressure system, bring possibly a white Christmas for many across the Rockies here, the Front Range, and even into the Dakotas. So that'll be nice for those of you who are looking forward to a white Christmas on the next couple of days. But this system is really something you want to keep an eye out for. You can see this come together and organize better. You've got the moisture surge out of the Gulf of Mexico. Let me pull this up here so you can see that. That's where it's coming from. That's why we're getting all this rainfall. You got a moisture surge right out of the Gulf of Mexico straight up into the central U.S. That's where you're seeing the probability for all this rainfall, the thunderstorm activity, and even warm air. So a lot of us, we know that we're going to be above average temperatures for the Christmas holiday. So we're expecting that across a lot of like the central U.S. and as well as all the way into the east, where we're going to be seeing some higher than average temperatures for the holiday. So unfortunately, white Christmas isn't a huge probability for many this year unless you're in the mountains, like the Northern Rockies or the Dakotas or things like that. So we're seeing this come together tomorrow, and it's going to be a busy weather system as it does come together even more. So this is getting into very early Sunday morning, Christmas Eve, where it's just messy. And I do apologize. If you are traveling this day on Christmas Eve, you're really going to want to have the weather radar at your disposal, have the app at your disposal, so you can have it right at your fingertips and get these tools so you can travel in the most safest way possible. Let's take a look at Christmas Eve. So we've got this storm system. It ain't going anywhere. It's going to be sticking around and moving on through. So let's take a look at what it looks like. So you see here, Christmas Eve, we've got some snowfall still lingering here in the central Rockies and all the way up into the northern tier. But it's a really big mix. You can see the rain-snow line of how that changes here across northern Minnesota. And that's because of the warmer temperatures that we're going to be seeing. That's why you're seeing a lot of Minnesota is going to be getting rain, not snow. It's moving that far north. And we got thunderstorm activity across the southern plains into the lower Mississippi Valley, and this is going to keep on moving east. This is the afternoon of Christmas Eve, so those of you who do any outdoor activities in these areas for Christmas Eve, plan on bringing an umbrella or moving it indoors, just because it's going to be pretty messy across this area. Let's move ahead in time as well. Yeah, as you can see, it's going to stay pretty wet, and it's going to move into the south here too, and then get into the Midwest. So, everybody's waiting for Christmas on Monday. if they'll have a white Christmas or anything like that. As you can see, there's some areas that are going to be getting snow, which is very nice. But we've got this huge storm system in addition to that. So heavy rainfall extending from the southeast all the way into the upper Midwest, and into the Ohio Valley as well, and the Florida Panhandle. So those of you on Christmas who like to go for outdoor walks really have the weather radar on, like at your fingertips, that you can make sure that you're not going to be walking out in the heavy rain, or if you are, bring an umbrella, because it's going to be quite active across this area, and you've got thunderstorm activity happening here in the Gulf. So that's going to be something you really want to keep an eye out for in this area as the storm continues to evolve. And you see these temperatures too. Let's bring up the temperature radar. On Christmas Day, those of you who are planning on gifting maybe some nice sweaters or some earmuffs or anything like that, not going to need them on Christmas Day for a lot of people. We've got 60s happening here across the south all the way up into Kentucky, and then just mid to low 50s here across the Ohio Valley and Midwest. So a very mild Christmas here across the area. But east of the Appalachians here, we are going to be seeing some slightly chillier temperatures. Not crazy though, in the 40s. And then the 50s here down into the southeast as well. So not too bad. Not too bad at all for a Christmas day. We do see across the western here too. We've got those cooler temperatures happening across the area. So no surprise there that we had